Hey guys, it's Matt with BleepinJeep.com. Today I want to talk to you about jacks. No, not these kind of jacks. Automotive jacks, like floor jacks. Let's get started. Blah 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 blah. So when you go to purchase an automotive jack, the first term that you're going to see is capacity. But what does capacity mean on an automotive jack? Well, capacity means the weight that the jack can safely support. But a lot of people get this confused because you're not going to support the entire weight of the vehicle on one jack. So let's go into detail. So the first thing we should define is, what is a ton? Well, 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. The word ton comes from the word T-U-N, which is a wooden wine barrel filled with wine. 1 ton. So why we still use the ton today, I'm not quite sure. It's pretty confusing. There's all kinds of different tons. A long ton, a short ton, a regular ton, an English ton, an imperial ton. There's even tons for weights and tons for volumes of liquid. It's pretty confusing. But in our case, a ton just means 2,000 pounds. So as far as jacks go, a small to mid-size car, you're pretty much good with a 2-ton jack. And a luxury mid-size to an SUV, truck, or van, you're pretty much good with a 3-ton jack. A good rule of thumb is to get a jack that's 3/4 of the vehicle's weight. So what that means is, if your vehicle weighs 4,000 pounds, you divide that by 3/4, you get 3,000 pounds, which is 1.5 tons. So if you have a vehicle that's 4,000 pounds, you can get by with a jack that's 1.5 tons. Now why is that? Well, it's because the worst case scenario is that if you're lifting the front of your vehicle, which is where the engine is, you're going to lift maybe 60% of the vehicle's weight. Now that's if you lift both tires off the ground, which is very rare, but it's possible. So let's say you lift both front tires off the ground, you have the engine's weight in the front, you're not just lifting half the vehicle. Since most of the vehicle's weight is in the engine, you're going to be lifting about 60% of the vehicle's weight. So you may be asking yourself, if the worst case scenario is that you'll lift 60% of the vehicle's weight, why is the rule of thumb to get a jack that will lift 3/4 or 75% of the vehicle's weight? Well, the answer is you want to add in a safety factor there. You never know what can happen or how much you might want to lift. It also helps, maybe your friend comes over, he's got a heavier truck, you won't have to run out and grab a new jack. Now something else we should cover from a safety standpoint, you always want to use jack stands. Your jack is only for lifting the vehicle. Once you get it lifted, you want to put a jack stand under there and let it down on the jack stand. Again, your jack is only for lifting. Never get under the vehicle supported only by a jack. Use jack stands and chocks. So you want to make sure that the vehicle is not going to roll back on you with a chock, and always, always, always on level ground. Another thing people forget about is that ramps can be handy as well. If you're just changing oil, say, and you don't need to take the tire off, a pair of ramps will be much easier and more time efficient to drive up on rather than jacking it up and using jack stands. Now my preference is always a floor jack, so much so that I even carry one with me in the Jeep out on the trail everywhere I go. Whether it's in the shop, I have a floor jack. On the trail, I have a floor jack. I made this video, in fact, because a lot of people were asking how I can use a 1.5 ton jack on this vehicle. Well, my Jeep only weighs probably about 4,000 pounds. I haven't weighed it yet, but that's my estimate, and it clearly fits within the guidelines that we set earlier. 1.5 tons or 3,000 pounds. Plenty to lift this Jeep 1/2 at a time, although I rarely ever do that. Usually I'm just lifting one corner, which is what people do most of the time. Alright, thanks guys. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed the video, check out our Patreon page. There you can help support us to make videos more like this one. It's patreon.com/BleepinJeep. One of the perks of becoming a Patreon supporter is that you get to see these videos days, weeks, months even in advance before anyone else does. We also give out stickers and t-shirts depending on your level. Thanks a lot, guys. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We'll see you next time. One of the jacks that I highly do not recommend are these crappy things. For one, the base right here is just way too small to hold anything substantial. It also is very narrow in my opinion and gets very wobbly and can fall or tip over. I'll leave some links below in the description box to some jacks that I do recommend.